Dave Thomas, who has done nothing but been a good luck charm for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'll tell you why. Because as soon as he showed up, the team improved. So, Dave, what are you doing right there? You're doing something that's affecting the team, maybe even on the field.
I take zero credit, absolutely whatsoever, because then I have to take all the blame if it goes the other way.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, things have gone well since you've showed up. Now, it's crazy. The Riders 6-1 for just the fourth time in CFL history. 1970, they were 6-1. They lost a weird game in the Western Final. Larry Robinson boots a field goal in frigid conditions against the wind. Ron Lancaster couldn't play. Gary Lane scored a touchdown. They didn't count because nobody could see the goal line. Anyway, 1970, they should have been in the Grey Cup. They weren't. Then 2008, they were 6-1. But unfortunately, Calgary was a powerhouse, and the Riders actually, I believe, lost to BC in the semifinal. In 2013, they had the same record, 6-1, and of course, we don't have to talk about what happened in 2013. So, I mean, what I like about it, they've got this historic start. Oh, that's from Rob Vanstone, by the way. Give him the credit for those stats. But it's interesting because what I like and what I hear, and you know more about this than I do, is that all they really talk about is, no, forget 6-1. We just want to improve.
That's to a man what the messaging is right now with the Rough Riders, is that we want to improve. And it's funny, you've been around the community for a long time. And again, the limited interactions that I've had with my neighbors and the people that I've been meeting, there's sometimes you would almost swear that we were 1-6 instead of 6-1. And I don't know if you get the same thing or not, because things could have gone, a couple of different ways in a couple of different games, but again, a win is a win is a win. And I know that there's a lot of teams that would be absolutely going head over heels to try to get to 6-1.
Well, and the point is, if you take a look at the game against Edmonton, they lose, the Riders, they lose in net offense, not by a lot, but they had less net offense. They had, Edmonton had the edge in turnovers by 2 turnovers, and yet they still won the ball game. And my message is, forget the negative Normans, forget the negative Nellies. This team knows how to win. They figure it out, do they not?
Yeah, absolutely. How many times do you hear that in sports, that good teams find ways to win and become great teams? So this team has done that. And you go back to that Edmonton game, and I know we don't want to probably talk about that one too much, but end of the day, let's face it, the team was stopped on the goal line once. They also went ahead and they missed a field goal, and they also went ahead and they had one busted play in the fourth quarter that turned into a touchdown. So not bad stats when you consider what coulda, shoulda, maybe would have been. But again, end of the day, it's a W.
Well, I'm a real believer in time of possession determines football games. I think you are too. And the Riders actually lead at both ends of time of possession in the CFL right now. As you likely know, you know more about the Riders than I do, but stats-wise. But, the offense has been on the field the longest of any team in the CFL, and the defense has been on the field the shortest. If that keeps up, good things are going to happen, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And you look at their touchdown drive percentage, 19% of the time that they get an offensive possession, they put it into the end zone, which is incredible, because it even dropped a little bit, because had they scored last week, it would have been up over 20% on that 3rd and 1. I keep not wanting to dwell upon that. So you're right. The numbers prove that this is a good team. And again, they've been faced with their share of adversity, but there's maybe a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to some of the injuries that they've faced up front. And I'm not sure if that's going to come to fruition here this week against the Montreal Alouettes, but long term, I think that after this bye week, it's going to maybe look a little different.
Well, one game and they go from lower down to leading the league in sacks. That's quite a turnaround, and what a coming out party for Shane Ray as a Rough Rider. And it was a coming out party, and you know what, Dave? We were all invited. And Shane Ray was just, his other buddy, Malik Carney, well, we already know about him, how good he is, but Shane Ray, according to PFF, 8 total pressures to go along with 2 sacks. So 25% of the time he was putting pressure on. And that's the guy that we saw in Toronto. And those two, Ray and Carney, Carney's number one in his position on the defensive line in PFF2, which is an analytic, as you know. Those two dudes put on a show. I mean, I don't want to talk too much. We'll get to your interviews right away, but about a game last week. But oh my goodness, what a show from those two dudes.
And both of them say it's only just begun, right? And the fact that they think they're going to get better because they're starting to feel each other. They've got nonverbal cues going on. And the one thing, don't forget up the middle, Mike Rose and Micah Johnson, they're taking double teams. And so if you've got to double team those two guys on the inside, well, guess what? That's going to free up somebody somewhere. And that's how 8 sacks occurred last week. And it's just incredible. Again, it was 4-man rush that the Riders went predominantly. There was a couple of blitzes, and those blitzes both got home. So those are great, solid signs. They're going to have their work cut out for them this week in Montreal, and an offensive line that I think is very, very good and maybe even a little bit underestimated. So that front four, there's no hiding now. Everybody knows what they can do, and they know that they just need to go ahead and show that they can continue to do it on a continuous basis, but also on a consistent basis.
And one of the more underrated players on that line is Maldonado, is he not? I mean, he's clearly backing up two great defensive ends at the moment, but he's always in there as a global player when he gets in there, Dave.
Absolutely. And the Rough Riders love his ability to rush the quarterback. So you'll see him come in on passing downs predominantly, because when he can pin his ear back and do what he does, he is a disruptive force. Now, he's taken some penalties, which, again, can be a tad frustrating for the coaching staff along the way, but predominantly he's able to disrupt the quarterback. So even if he's not racking up a sack, the number of pass disruptions that he's got on the defensive line against the opposition's pass game is huge. And again, get the quarterback off his mark and make him do something spectacular. And he's one of the guys that's able to go ahead and do that. And again, oftentimes when the quarterback is under duress, spectacular doesn't always happen.
And he proves that global players aren't just punters. He can play football. You know what I mean? I'm going to throw it to you now, Dave, because you were at practice today. I'm just going to throw the show to you for a minute, and you can go through all the folks that you talked to today and update us with the Rider injuries.
Absolutely. And of course, that was the biggest concern yesterday when 9 players were limited or did not practice yesterday for the Rough Riders. I know that there was a lot of Chicken Little that the sky was falling. Today, most of those players were actually able to get back out on the turf, which was a great sign. The one player, though, noticeably absent was Samuel Emelis. And let's go through the conversation that I had with Coach Mace following practice today. And he was kind enough to give us an update on Samuel Emelis, whether or not he's going to go on the 6-game injured list or what it's looking like.
They're going to be kind of tough for Sam probably this week. But again, we've been in this situation before. But we'll get more information.
As far as the guys go that were on the field, CJ Rivas was back in the defensive secondary. Malik Carney was back up front along the defensive line. On the offensive line, we saw Zach Fry. Now, again, Zach was involved in a car accident with some of his teammates last week, and it was a scary, scary situation after having what was described to me and could have turned out way, way worse than it did. So thankfully, he was back on the field. He was limited in his reps. He was kind of splitting with Noah Zare a little bit. So I don't know whether Zach Fry is going to be able to go or not. But those are the big ones. And Coach Mace was happy to have some company back at practice with those players that were able to get back on with cleats.
It's good to have some guys back. Some things are just maintenance, being smart. But like I said, there's, regardless if there's guys going this week or not, we've had enough turnover on this roster that most likely being replaced with somebody who's made some plays for us and played some good football. So however we line up, we'll be confident in that and ready to rock.
Now, Don, forgive me. I believe it was you that asked me last week about Sean Bain Jr. because for the last couple of weeks, he's been a full participant in practice, of course, recovering from that late season knee and leg injury that he sustained last year. He wasn't put on the 6-game injured list at the start of the year. He's just been working his way back, and now he's, like I say, been a full participant, although it's on the scout team that he is primarily going ahead and working right now. So we thought we'd get some clarification from Coach Mace if he has been a full participant for this week as well as much of last week. Does that mean that he's okay to get into game action?
Yeah, I think, it's more just making sure that, he's fully confident. He caught a nice pass today, too. It was awesome to see. But, just doing our due diligence and making sure that, everything, all the stars align from that standpoint. But happy for Bang.
So now here's the question. Right now, the American receivers on the Saskatchewan Roughriders starting 5, you've got Joe Robustelli, you've got Dante Myers, right? Then you've got Canadian Tommy Neild, who's kind of in the spot of Samuel Emilus, right? You've got Del Duncan Busby that's out there as well. So Sean Bain Jr. is healthy or getting closer to healthy. What are you going to do? Because Keyshawn Johnson, of course, is the other American receiver that you've got in those 5. So what do you do? So, again, had to ask, Coach, is it going to be hard to get Sean Bain Jr. into the lineup with the great receiver play that you've had thus far from the group that's on the field?
Potentially. We'll look at that. We'll always look to see what the best matchup is for us. And, we feel, like I said, from training camp, we feel really good about the receiver depth. And certainly Sean's a part of that. So we'll see how it lines up. Obviously wouldn't be shocked if he's making plays like he did in his entire career at some point in this season. And when that time comes, he'll be ready.
Now, I'm pretty sure that Luke Mullender is going to be smiling from ear to ear because all through training camp, I really liked what Tommy Neild was doing. I thought he brought a veteran presence, had some stability. His height, right? You can't coach height. He's got a great length, great reach, great speed, and it seems to be a great understanding of the playbook. Of course, though, he was banged up late in camp and just couldn't get himself right until just a couple of weeks ago. So now he's been back. He was on the roster last week. And like I say, it looks like he's going to be likely taking Samuel Emilus's spot in Montreal if Sam can't go. So what does Tommy Neild bring to the team? We asked Coach Mace that exact question.
Big target, smart player, definitely knows how to fit in the zones. He can block around the box, and he can go up and make some plays. So he's had a good career to this point. Again, like I said last week, excited that we had an opportunity to go get him. And just familiarity with not only his system, but, he was actually able to work with Coach McDaniel at McMaster too. So a lot of things made sense for him and for us.
So there you go, Tommy Neild, and again, a shout out to McMaster, as I was supposed to point out. So there you go, Tommy Neild likely going to get into the lineup. But while he might get more targets this week, of course, that would then filter down into Del Duncan Busby and Keyshawn Johnson and Dante Myers, and the list goes on and on. But in saying those names, there's one name that isn't being targeted as much, and that's Roland Milligan Jr. And I was actually asked last week on Edmonton radio whether or not he is slowing down, whether he is not at the Defensive Player of the Year pace that he was at. And I don't know, Don, you've had a chance to see him. To me, he just doesn't have as many opportunities to make plays.
Well, why would you pass the ball to anywhere near Roland Milligan? I mean,
Exactly.
they're just, I think I'll go pass to near Roland Milligan and have a 50-50 chance of completing the pass. I mean, a lot of it is people will stay away from him, and for good reason. I don't see that Roland Milligan is slowing down in the least. I will say this. I guess you're going to throw to a Milligan interview, but I wanted to say this before about Keyshawn Johnson. He is becoming one of my favorite Rough Riders, Dave. I mean, he's number 4 in league receiving yardage, number 4. He had 3 difficult contested catches last week against Edmonton, which led the CFL in contested catches. I think Keyshawn Johnson, I love him. That's all I'll say. Anyway, back to Roland Milligan.
When it comes to Keyshawn Johnson, the best, worst kept secret in the CFL all of a sudden, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
There you go.
And he's just solid. He's reliable. And he's got great hands. Anyway, are you gonna run the Milligan clip or?
Sure. How about we go to Roland Milligan? What I'll tell you, though, is that Roland Milligan and Keyshawn Johnson have a lot of fun in practice going up against one another every day. But I asked Roland about his year and about the year of the defense. Roland, 6-1 heading into this week in Montreal. Tell me where this defense and team is at in your eyes.
Still not good enough yet in my eyes. We still got to learn how to close out games on both sides. And it's just the work that we do during the week and then getting into those games and just focusing in a little bit more. But 6-1. We're still 6-1.
A lot of people are saying we've got to finish. It's obviously easy to say, harder to do. Is it a mental thing? Is it a systems thing? What has to be done?
I think it's just more so on the players. Just being able to adjust to how they start attacking us late in games. We just got to be able to make those adjustments. And I don't know if it's conditioning for everybody or what the case is exactly, but I think the focus just has to be better.
Tell me about the secondary around you. It really seems like there's a lot of chemistry and you've really come together.
A lot of guys just talking and trying to build that chemistry, with D. Fields and TC and Reeve, and then, me and Sales, and then Nelly in between all of it. Just trying to learn what we're good at, what we're comfortable doing, and then working off of each other.
The plays that you're targeted are way down from this point this year to where last year. So when teams aren't attacking you, I don't know if that's a compliment or is it a frustrating point in the fact that maybe you don't get an opportunity to be as involved as you would want to be in each and every play?
A little bit of both. I'm playing football to try to make some plays, but it's a respect thing. I know guys around the league respect me, and in those situations I got to figure out how to insert myself in the plays too. So it's not just on them; it's on me too to get myself in position to make plays.
We all like having measuring sticks and talking about making statements. Is this game in Montreal any bigger than any other one that you've played thus far this year?
Yeah, it is. Next game, so it's the biggest game.
It's the biggest game, Don, and they'll, of course, take to the air on Friday to get out there in Montreal to take on the Alouettes on Saturday.
Well, you're in Montreal, Dave, so don't get into any trouble now. You be a good boy in Montreal on these road trips.
Trust me, I know where all the best libraries are.
Okay, Dave, the good luck charm.